Good afternoon and welcome in to the SCC. We are moving into Phase 4 now here in North America, and there's some shifting going on in the faces that you might be seeing here in the SCC. Baskin and the boys, a team that was dominant, has kind of broken apart. We know Baskin up at the SPL alongside Gino, so other teams now looking to be the one that rises up and fills that power vacuum that has now materialized. I'm joined here as we're going to be breaking down everything here on the SCC by Aggro, and Aggro, I'm expecting we're going to have some good matches, or a good match here today. We're going to be looking at Froggy versus Winner Dog, not Wiener Dog, Winner Dog here first.
Yeah, the Winner Dogs are one of the teams that I think could be in contention to fill that power vacuum. Now, Get a Grip is the team that is left over from that Baskin the Boys roster, and they are very, very strong. I still anticipate them to be the number one team in North America. But if anyone is going to give them a run for their money, I think you've got to look at this Winner Dogs team. They've got Yuji in the ADC role, so normally a jungler, but always a high-ranked player. Gamma in support, Panda Turtle in mid, and then a very solid right side of the map in Amonster and Aquarius. And those of SPL fans out there definitely know those names, and for good reason. Those two have definitely proven that they belong at the top echelon at times.
And more, I'm starting to see the reason why we got to make sure we're paying attention to SCC, man. There's just too much talent down here to not be watching. How are Aqua, Andy, and Yuji all down here on a squad? And we're just now kind of seeing them start to come around. I mean, there's tons of really talented players that are happening down here in this region, which is why, if you consider yourselves SPL fans or just SMITE competitive fans, you should be checking this stuff out. Some of the best who've ever done it come down here if they are not in the SPL, or maybe they don't want to be in it full time, but they still want to do some SMITE. You'll see those guys down here having a good time still.
Absolutely. And the game quality has been pretty good so far this year. And that was even towards the beginning of the year where I was watching a whole lot more. Now we're in Phase 4, and I've been watching a little bit on the lead up, and they're playing really, really well. The playoff, the caliber of plays that we just saw at the Phase 3 playoffs was pretty high. I expect it to continue to get better here in Phase number 4.
Let's go and hop into the picks and bans then for Froggy up against Winner Dog. We talked a little bit about what makes up this Winner Dog roster, but you should recognize a lot of these Froggy names here too. Baronera, I believe, on this squad. Dishonored on this squad. Day, remember, Day is on this squad as well. So certainly some familiar faces. If you've been following along with the minor league or SCC throughout these years, these are guys that you certainly would have seen around. Now, in SPL, we are seeing a lot of bans being directed towards maybe Cupid Rom. Take those guys out of there. Yamoja, Persephone, those kinds of things. So far, it seems like we're fairly similar. Hercules being taken away, aggressive supports are scary, and also banning away the Yamoja.
Yeah, I think that we've seen a lot of trends towards individual players getting banned out a little bit more, or trying to ban out individual players at the SPL level. That sort of strategy can be more successful, I think, at this level, because players just won't have as big of god pools at the minor league level in comparison to the SPL. So it makes sense that we could see teams start to do that. But we also often see teams just kind of banning the stuff that's near the top of the tier list that they don't feel like playing against, and then just picking whatever they think seems fun on that day.
Yeah, if you've been worried about making the jump to ranked or something, remember that you get to ban the busted stuff, or at least you hope, whoever top elo is. That's one of the good reasons to hop in there, and hey, these guys are joining that same mentality. I do not want to deal with Persephone or Kuzenbo or Yamoja, so I'm banning it out. But this Achilles ban does feel as though it might be a bit targeted here to me towards Winner Dog. Perhaps that's something that Aqua's been playing a good amount of over there in solo, and they want to take away from him. Whatever the call is, though, they choose to take that one away, so that means there's still a lot of really high-value stuff that could potentially slide its way through as the Sobek gets banned. Lots of bans, 4 of them directed towards the support role already.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, but at the same time, Gamma is not exactly your traditional support player in terms of his god pool. He'll play a lot of things like Sun Wukong, frankly. That's a flex pick, I think, for the Winner Dogs.
Yeah.
Odin, a lot of warriors over there for Gamma. So I don't think that these support bans necessarily hurt Winner Dogs as much as it might hurt Froggy.
Could be something for them to keep their eye on. Is this Wukong a great overall flex pick, since we know how strong he is in solo right now, likely right there behind Yamaterasu in terms of top strength over there. Cthulhu, another one that I think that could be getting increased strength relative to SPL here in the minor league. It takes a lot of coordinated team effort to chew through someone like a Cthulhu. These late game hunters with the kin size build, the Silver Branch build, and all the sustained damage gonna be critical for punching your way through this Cthulhu when he's in that ultimate. and then they'll be pairing that team fight presence alongside this Cupid, so not bad to start.
As we kind of expect, Cupid and Rom usually pretty highly prioritized, but now Winter Dogs have the option of taking that Rom if they so want to. But a lot of times when a new player comes into a new role, I mean, UG, like I said, traditionally a jungler, now moving into ADC, who knows if he thinks Rom is that good? You know, he might have some other hunters that he just vibes with a little bit more right off the bat. You got to find those characters that you feel comfortable on fairly quickly when you're trying to roll swap. I'd hope that he's been practicing a lot of Rom, because that god is really, really good, and that's exactly what he should have been practicing, but who knows? Maybe UG found some comfort in another pick.
Yeah, Rom right now, his ability to push, ability to affect team fights, even if he's not in there the whole time, and then to leverage that Silver Branch build as well, you got to be having this guy in your wheelhouse right now. I'm with you. As the Erlong Shin comes in, and now this feels a bit of a flex pick too. I think we mostly see Erlong Shin picked up and put into the jungle nowadays, but who knows with this Winter Dog team, they might be willing to take that into the support role even to go alongside that jungle. So an interesting one. But if this is Poseidon mid, Erlong jungle, that's a scary combination in terms of their pick potential. If you get caught out without beads, you're absolutely going to die.
No doubt. And I love that classic combo of a setup character in Erlong Shen and an easy support mage to kind of go alongside it in Poseidon. Support in terms of the CC and damage he's going to bring, of course. But you've got to deal with an Aphrodite now on the other side, and when you play Poseidon into Afro, it feels really bad because there are just two people on the enemy team that you can't crack it at any given time until that Undying Love is down. Even when someone has Aegis, it doesn't feel that bad to get your Kraken Aegis, because at least they're knocked up and stunned, and you can kind of set up the rest of your damage underneath with the rest of your team. That doesn't happen with Afro. Her ult is a Beads Aegis combined. So that's a pretty tough matchup for him. I wonder what we're going to see out of Winter Dogs now that the Aphrodite's locked in, most likely for Baron Arian mid.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. Their work now going to be cut out for them because they also won't have the Rom to work with in the Hunter role. I was talking about how important it is to have someone like Rom with so much sustained damage in fights because they have such a good matchup into this Cthulhu. But they're going to have to go a little bit deeper now into the barrel to find a good Hunter in a world where the Uller also banned out. So it's Ganesh that comes in here next for this Guardian role. And now the team fight over here for Froggy is starting to get pretty nuts here at this point, right? You're dealing with a transformed Cthulhu, a Fields of Love. You can't kill any of them because they have Undying Love and Afro heals, and now Ganesh with the Silence and the Dharmic Pillars. This is quite the potential 5-on-5 that Froggy are showing already.
A really annoying team comp to deal with from Froggy for sure. Just tons of AoE control. I mean, Cthulhu, Cupid, they've got buttons that cover what feels like an entire lane. Then you've got Ganesh, who's going to silence out someone like that Erlong Shen really, really easily. This is going to be difficult for Winter Dogs, but it's no surprise in my mind that they've got a pretty physical-heavy composition. I think that's going to be a pretty much a staple of this Winter Dogs team this entire phase. It's hard to say exactly where their characters are going to go.
Yeah.
I think it might be Erlong. I'm going to go Erlong jungle, set solo, Wukong support is my guess. Could also be Wukong solo, set jungle, Erlong support. But I don't know. And I think that's going to be a strength of this team, is that they're going to do things like this in the picks and bans a lot.
Going to make it tough to keep up with him. And I like this. When you draft a comp that, as you said, has a lot of this AoE control like Froggy does, I feel like then you want to give your jungler like something like Camazotz, where I just hit my buttons and do damage, right? I kind of like that synergy of at the very end of it, just drafting someone you are not going to be able to peel. So we are just about ready to move into the game here. Froggy and Winter Dog, our very first set of Phase 4 over the NASCC will be kicking off with plenty of action. Now we'll get our clarity on where these picks are going. It is going to be the Erlong support, Sun Wukong solo, and then the set in the jungle. This is interesting. How do you like this set Poseidon combo there as the mid-jungle?
It's pretty aggressive. You have pretty good kill potential early in the game because Set's skewer slow is pretty strong, and you add that into a Whirlpool slow. Someone like Luconium, if he gets caught in that, will end up taking a whole bunch of damage. But really, both of these characters are looking to get to level 5 more than anything else. You're looking for clear speed out of this 2v2, and Set, not exactly the fastest clearing jungler in the game, but certainly a lot better after his midseason changes to his skewer. And Poseidon is one of the premier push mages in SMITE. He clears waves better than most. So I think that we'll see Winter Dogs just try and wrest away early lane clear control and try and win that way. But it's worth noting that Gamma does not have a Guardian's Blessing. He's gone Boots 2.
Yeah.
And if I've played against it a little bit in ranked recently, I think that what Gamma likes to do with this start is hard clear wave and then go to red right off the bat and use that extra mobility and extra power that he has to set up an easy red buff invade for his team. And if you're not there, if Lucodium doesn't go speed to red, there's no way for you to ever contest it. So this one's going to be free for Winter Dogs.
And it is Gamma showing some early game aggression here. This Erlong Shen pick stripping over the red, but he's got to be careful now. Luconium backing off. I don't think they realized how well he and Promise had him pincered just now, as Aqua in some trouble here in solo. One of our storied solo laners here is Aquarius. Been around for a long time and kind of learning how difficult it is to go up against the Cthulhu, but Winter Dogs getting aggressive. Gamma's been knocked up already. The root is there, and Anderster finds the first blood. Winter Dogs with aggression right out of the gate.
In Promise, you can kind of see that elephant hanging out in the jungle like, all right, well, I don't want to take Dave's farm if Big Yuji's going to be getting the free farm, so where do I go? And Gamma is just on tour right now. First he went mid, and now he's going right.
He is all over the place still with just the boots too, and quite a bit of mobility at the start, but this is trouble now for Yuji. Stunned out, gets inside the minion wave and just barely survives. Hold on to the beads as well, and does still have a couple of potions he could use to try and get sustained back up, but now in some trouble. Day should be able to exact some pressure, but this start from Gamma is oppressive, man. Froggy losing pressure all over the map.
Not an easy start to deal with if you're not prepared for it, and Gamma really using that style that he loves of pressure warriors right off the bat, not just playing them in lane, but basically playing jungle too right now for Winter Dogs, and good timing by him. He's back, got his boots, and he's back in time for Yuji's purple. That was the big concern for me, is can you defend your left side buffs without Gamma here, but Gamma is here, so it's not a problem.
And the way that he's playing this so easily could have been the Wukong, right? I mean, either one of those, it's fine for Gamma to do this kind of early game aggression. They're heading towards purple, but Promise is here, Luconium on the way as well, so this will not be free, as there's even ward vision here for Froggy. Gamma low, and inside the silence, in comes Day to help out, but the knock-up nasty backup coming in from Anderson as he shows up. Gamma gets one, and he gets the next, and all of a sudden, Froggy starting to hemorrhage this left side of the map.
Luconium in trouble, no beads for him, went for that blink at level 1. This does have the jump this time around, but Andy and Gamma looking to dive already?
Yeah, Andy now just tanking the tower, drops back over to Gamma, and Luconium does end up surviving that pressure, but he has to back right away on the back of this. It looks like he'll stick around, but that sure is risky. If Yuji ticks over to 5, he's got a ton of burst potential with that ultimate, but Luconium backs to the edge of the tower line. Winter Dog's not going to get too aggressive. They have a ton of farm still to get on this side of the map, with both alphas up and their own purple. But you're starting to see exactly what it can be like when a team comes in with an aggressive game plan from the start. Froggy have not seemed to know how to slow it down yet.
And to be fair to Froggy, this style for the Winter Dogs is going to be most effective early on in the phase, when teams probably haven't played against you. I mean, knowing that they're the week 1 matchup, no way Winter Dogs has scrimmed Froggy anytime recently. And this is hard to deal with when you're just getting gunned down and they're holding W key at you and they're focusing on your buffs. If you're not prepared and you haven't drafted for that, and I don't think Froggy really has, with Ganesh and Afro as a part of your 3v3 core, that's not exactly super strong at defending against invades. This is the hardest point to play against this style of composition.
It is. Froggy were like, all right, you're not beating us in a late game team fight, and Winter Dog said, bet. All right, then there won't be one. We're running away with it early, man, and it's been working for him here so far. 4-0 in the kills, and up about 1,500 gold, and we're not even 5 minutes into this game just yet. It doesn't look like the experience is out of control, except in the jungle. Luconium's still not 5, and Andy already ticked over to level 6, and they're going to be here for another purple buff invade if they want it.
And it's really just because Gamma's creating infinite space right now for Andy that Andy's able to free farm and keep a lead like this going. And it's credit to Aqua as well. We saw him defending their own back camps to make sure the Luconium isn't getting extra XP that way. When Annister is going to be moving around the map as much as he is, trying to shadow where Gamma's going, then it makes it difficult to make sure that you're getting all of your buffs all at the same time. Going to be some that go by the wayside, but Luconium hasn't really been able to capitalize on that.
And Gamma did eventually pick up that Guardian's Blessing as Winter Dog stripping away the red buff. Yuji beads is and then uses the dash aggressively forward towards Day. And that might be enough for Day to just be dead, with Gamma coming through the top side with Andy waiting inside that purple buff pit. And yes, that is a kill, but Panda Turtle fell in mid. Luconium, that Camazotz was able to gank him. There he is, low HP, but successful, taking down the Poseidon in trade and getting Froggy some kind of kill on the board.
And that's what you need to do if you're Froggy. You probably can't take the fight. I mean, Winter Dogs are just too strong on this left side of the map now. Gamma is pretty big in terms of damage. Andy's level 7 and setting up another dive already.
Yeah, and this isn't just needless aggression as Promise is going to fall. I mean, look around the map. They've done a lot of the farm. This left side still has purple and red up, yes, but I think Winter Dogs are doing about as efficiently as you can to this W style. Tier 1 tower still stands as Day rejoins, having just watched his Ganesh get jumped underneath the Tier 1 tower. This has been a really good start to this for Winter Dogs. It's not just aggression for aggression's sake. They're keeping their farm as much as they can on cooldown too.
And Panda Turtle falls a little bit behind after that death. He just ticked over to level 8. Barrow's been there for a little bit. But otherwise, I think that everyone is in a really solid spot here for Winter Dogs. It's just on Panda Turtle now to make sure that he doesn't end up dying again to another gank. He got a little bit poked out by Baronary and must have stuck around a little bit too long and set up Luconium for a pretty easy Camazotz blink in to ult. Nothing you could really do as a mid laner. That just can't happen though. Whenever your team is making a proactive play around the map and looking to be aggressive and invade, a lot of times your only job is to communicate when and where they're coming and to live. That's about it.
Kraken coming out, but as we anticipated, Undying Love is the response. No one ends up getting hit. Andy did want to keep up the chase, but there's just not much more there. So they end up falling back, but I think this has already done its job. Red buff stolen again. I don't know that Baronary has gotten one at all this game. It's Gamma, blink in, taunt. Whirlpool is there for the follow-up, but Gamma taking some damage from the tower, gets the heal from 9 turns Blessing, but a great stun from Promise means Luconium gets the pick. And now Andy, left alone in the jungle, is able to make it back out by going to one of his clones, but Luconium gets the double. Dishonored, cut off the escape path, and that's enough for Froggy to have now found some good answers.
And that's the problem with this playstyle. I mean, we're watching Winter Dogs just run it down and look great. And a lot of fans probably thinking, well, why doesn't every team play like this? Why doesn't every team just dive towers and get kills? It's because if you misstep, if you mess up a little bit, you get heavily, heavily punished. Annister's lead, gone. He's up 200 gold now in the jungle and is the same level as Luconium. Panda Turtle's a little bit ahead still, but all of the momentum for Winter Dogs loses a little bit of its luster now. It's not like it's over. I still think that I'd expect them to be on the next red buff for Froggy, but time to rein it back in a little bit if you're the Winter Dogs.
Yeah, go for these neutral objectives like the Gold Fury, force Froggy to come to you, or maybe Froggy won't come at all. That is the Gold Fury secured by Winter Dogs, and that should help with the gold part of this equation, pushing them back out of it now to 2,600 in gold, 2,500 in experience. But Froggy are going to have to make sure they do a lot more of what we just saw. Get there early on these rotations, have the numbers advantage to keep things even, and when Winter Dogs do overstep, you can't be afraid to look for that punish, as we saw them do under that Tier 1 tower. Winter Dogs controlling the left side of the map very, very well, where they still have that big lead for Yuji over Day to Remember. But as you kind of mentioned, Aqua and Dishonored not too far apart, neither are Andy and Luconium. So that right side, still a good spot for Froggy.
Looks like Andy wants to try and make something happen on this right side. Dishonored still has ult, so I don't think there's any way he ends up dying in this spot, though. Andy is chewing through that health bar. Consider me wrong, Dishonored, he's dead.
Yeah, I wonder if he ends up waiting too long to ult and giving a little bit too much respect to Andy on that one, or a little too little respect to Andy, rather, and that is the damage from the set, 4-1 and 3. I mean, And now Luconium trying to get aggressive again, sees if there's a chance he can take down Panda Turtle here in the jungle, goes up into the ult, misses the first swing, second connects, third one too, but Kraken is there, knock up, and the stun, and Aqua gets the kill. Baronelli does clean up that kill on the Panda Turtle that Luconium worked so hard on, but now they're getting 9 turns. Blessing pulled in. Baroneri has the healing, but Andy comes in and has the sustained damage. All these slows stacking up, and nowhere for the After to go. Promise dies as well, and boy, does Andy punish them for that one. Luconium starts it, kind of baits the squad to a bad 3-for-1 trade.
Really, really love Anderster playing this set right now. Set is just one of those gods that I think is underplayed by a pretty heavy margin, and we saw it in the SPL, yesterday? With Finoke pulling out the set and looking fantastic on that. And now we see Annenster doing it in the jungle. I think this god is just really, really underplayed. Yeah, you have to pick your spots really, really well, which is not always easy, but when you do, you can slam.
Yuji very nearly winning that duel with Data Remember in the jungle. That is both ults traded out and the beads from Day. That means Andy come around and do another cleanup kill. 7-1 and 3 for him now, and he is in the middle of it right now, looking for a bit more action. Doesn't find it there as he ends up retreating, but he has a ton of poke, and no one on Froggy can come out to contest. And Promise isn't careful. He might fall again. The slow there, but no all-in commit from Andy. I mean, he's so valuable at this point. There's no reason to overstep. I like him continuing to play this aggressively, but, you know, with some caution.
Man, look at where they are. It's 12 minutes in, and Annenster and Gamma are sitting where you do on Phoenix Sieges. Great ult, though, from Promise. Locked Andy on the zapper. He's dead.
Well, that's 100% Promise getting the better of Andy there. I think they were sitting, at least on this other ward, as a 2-man taunt comes out from Gamma. He falls too. Froggy do it again, punishing Winner when they get too aggressive. Panda drops the beads. It gets him away from the knockup from Dishonored. And Froggy not able to find any more kills on the back of it, but feels like they should be going towards something here, at least Pyro, if they can manage it. Getting a 2-for-0 like that is a rare gift right now for Froggy, but Winner, or rather Aqua, takes care of the Tier 1 tower and right, so still something going the way of Winter Dogs.
I agree, though. Froggy should have been able to group up, get a little bit more than just this Tier 1 in mid. I think that, well, maybe with Aqua being so big on this right-hand side, I mean, he's level 14 now. Probably can't do Pyromancer safely, so maybe Froggy gets as much as they can in that moment. It just feels bad that the best thing you can do is just get a Tier 1 tower in mid.
It does. It feels like they should be able to get a little bit more as this red buff stays belong in the winner. And come over, grab it, and Panda Turtle picks up yet another. Experience deficit's not as bad as they used to be, but Luconium getting punked right outside his own speed buff. Gamma there to drop the hammer. And another kill going in favor of Winner. This mid-tier 1 is where the next bit of action is going to happen. Froggy trying to hide under it, but Panda Turtle is bringing it low already, so Froggy moved back to the tier 2. Gamma and Aqua in between are putting out damage, but they don't really want to commit here to Froggy. They're doing whatever little soft defense they can, but they know that Winner have the turnaround potential. Aqua still in the middle of the fight, is forced to use that Ox form to retreat. Decided wants to chase, but no chance of being able to lock him down there.
Oni Fury's coming up, but Froggy just don't have a great DPS composition when it comes to objectives, so there's no chance for them to head on over to Oni Fury really quickly and burn that before Winter Dogs are there and ready to defend, especially with Data Remember being so far down. I mean, that early camp job by the Winter Dogs, Gamma and Andy just constantly diving him underneath his tier 1, really, really set Day far behind in this one.
He's been behind basically this whole time. Level 12 to 14. Kin size finished for UG and onto the tier 1 of what will likely be an Atalanta's bow. Meanwhile, Day is sitting on Light Blade still and wishing he had a little bit more. 0-4-2. It's not been a great game for him, but it really hasn't been a great game for much of anyone on Froggy. They have been constantly getting bullied around. It's just non-stop aggression. Andy thinks he can get aggressive yet again, but this time Day has some backup. Plenty of people here on the left side, so Andy has to slow down. But this fight going to be setting up for Oni. A dash in from Dishonored, and Andy now stuck in the Fields of Love and the Dharmic Pillars, so he has to wait. Beads buys him time. He retreats, and Yuji hunts down Day back over to the tier 2 and gets the kill. Dishonored inside that ultimate is getting back towards the tower. Meanwhile, Panda getting little help as he avoids Luconium all on his own. There's the ult trip from Luke. He goes back the other way, but that leaves Bay stuck in the middle. Suddenly, the target and the damage proves too much. Yuji gets another kill. Now Promise, the target is a double for the Hachiman, and Froggy forced to retreat back to the tier 2.
Andenster was deep, but just bought enough time, and Yuji all-in commits on the day, pretty much insta-kills the poor Hachiman. And Winter Dogs just are able to spread the fight out well enough. Luconium's coming, and this Oni Fury isn't dead quite yet, but good job by Yuji to body block a little bit and make sure that Winter Dogs grab themselves yet another objective.
And Aqua continuing to be a bully. Yeah, he's the one that picked up that red buff after the invades. Now with the Fury down, we're up to a 7,000 gold lead. Remember, they were at about 2,500 or so 5 minutes in. So they've done a great job of compounding this lead, of getting it out of control. Froggy have shown a couple of signs of life when Winter Dogs really overstep. But for the most part, this has been controlled by the Order team. A difficult lead to comprehend coming back from at this point, barring Winter Dogs continuing to overstep, which, hey, they have done.
That is true. It's happened, but maybe from this position, I don't know. Listen, Finch, I've been waiting 16 minutes and 11 seconds to ask you this question, okay?
Go ahead.
Now that we're at this point where we can take a breath a little bit from Winter Dogs' Mach speed pace, what do you think of the name Winter Dogs as a team name? Give me the breakdown here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't like it, right? It feels like they want their name to be Wiener Dogs, but it's not. It's Winter Dogs instead, and hold up, Baroneri might be finding out just what kind of winners they are. Good Undying Love gets him away from the Kraken. Promise is the one that's taken all the damage up until this point, but Froggy, hold on, tier 1 tower down, and the Winter Dogs, I'm putting that in quotes, are continuing their surge.
Hey man, they're looking like they're going to be Winter Dogs in this one. That's kind of the important part to remember, is that they've got to keep winning if they're going to have this name. I warned Andy that it sounded like Wiener Dogs, but he didn't think people would see it that way. He thought that they would just think that they're, you know, Winter Dogs, whatever.
I don't believe
that.
Means, it's got to be a play on Wiener Dog, or it doesn't make any sense, right?
No,
what is Winter Dog? It's nothing.
Well, it's a dog that wins.
Right,
and it's 5 of them in this instance. It's 5 dogs that win. Those all together make the Winter Dogs.
Well, no, they've been doing a lot of winning here so far in this set. Hopefully they can keep that going. 15-6 and 7,000 gold out of reach at this point here in this game. Froggy gonna have to hope that some errors come in, it feels like, here at this point before they can start to get back in. Now they have a ton of sustain between this Afro, the Cupid, the self-sustain available for Luconium. They can drag some fights out. That's their only hope, but Winter Dogs have been ending things quickly and not giving them a chance. As Luconium sees Aqua back and thinks, oh, no way I'm stopping that, and just lets him go back to base.
It's better for me if he leaves, so maybe we make sure that that's exactly what happens. Look, think maybe a little bit of a trouble moment for Promise. Panda Turtle definitely trying to make sure that they grab the kill. But they let him go. Wow. That is kindness and great control by the Winter Dogs. You gotta give them that credit. They get Promise right down. Look, I mean, like I said, this early game in the way that it works, the way that Winter Dogs seem to like to play it, it is really hard to play against when you don't know it's coming. I really can't fault Froggy that much for letting it happen to them in game 1. Now, if the exact same thing happens to them in game 2, then we can have a conversation, you know, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. That's the sort of situation I think we're in. From this position, I think Froggy really need to hope that they can just punish some mistakes coming from Winter Dogs, because from this position, Winter Dogs should be able to take game 1 with ease.
They should be able to, certainly, if things continue to go the way they're expected to. And they have plenty of wiggle room to make some errors as well because of how much of a lead they have here at this point. But I do have to imagine that some degree of losing in the early game was anticipated here for Froggy in this one. They did not exactly have a comp that was ready to fight in the early, but things got way out of control. This was not part of the plan they drew up by any means as we have come out of the game here. A pause happening. We saw Promise DCing, and yeah, I guess you can call it kindness as they let him live at 1 HP. I guess we'll be heading back into the game soon, so we'll see if they decided to let Promise hold on to his life or not, and they did. Indeed, kindness from the Winter Dogs.
Listen, man, Panda Turtle needs to boost up those damage numbers because he won't be doing any damage the rest of the game with his build. So that was like a good opportunity to make sure that it isn't too far down on the list. I don't know that there's a build that grinds my gears quite as much as auto attack based Poseidon. Look, moving fast is really fun, but I personally feel like dealing damage is more fun, and that's why I think not going auto attack Poseidon is the call.
Well, especially with someone so reliant on a big burst ultimate, feels as though you're kind of taking away some of the core strength here of Poseidon, but hey, I mean, if Andy, Gamma, and Yuji are all getting damage done with autos, I guess Panda Turtle does not want to be left out. So he's joining in on the fun. That is the Fire Giant going down for Winter Dogs. No surprise, no contest really on that objective. And they already have 2 members pushing up in right. Everyone else is looking for this gank in left. Andy is in. Dharmic Pillar's dropped. But Andy keeps up the chase despite that. The slows onto Promise should be enough to guarantee his death, especially with Panda coming in, and Andy grabs that kill. Meanwhile, the 2 members that went to right are still on the warpath. They got the tier 2, and now they're right outside the right side. Phoenix and Froggy don't know which way to look. They're losing everywhere at this point.
This is the right call. You got to defend the most important objective. Send the majority of your forces to the right-hand side, but unfortunately that means this left-hand side will go down without any sort of contest. But there wasn't any way that you were going to be defending this anyway. So tier 2 falls, no big deal. Winter Dogs haven't backed to spend the gold that they have, and they've certainly got a lot of it. So I'd imagine that it's going to be a Gold Fury into backing for them, which means that they won't really be able to start this Phoenix siege in earnest for probably about another minute.
Sounds like you said, I got a minute to chill, Aggro. I'll take it at this point, as Froggy are going to be falling back and just kind of considering some defense here at this point. So certainly this is one where this next minute not going to be all that important. So I suppose instead, what do you think is the next best hunter when Rom and Cupid are off the table? I meant to ask you during picks and bans. Do you think it is Hachiman? Is that where you come down next with those 2 removed?
No, I don't think so. Hachi is fine, but doesn't exactly inspire me in the hunter role right now. I don't think that he's near the top. I think we're seeing a lot of Heimdall play at the SPL level. I think Heim probably is the 3rd best hunter right now. If I had to really hang my hat on someone, Jing Wei is always going to be up there at the SPL level because of her safety. I think among hunters that are a little bit underplayed right now, I think Medusa deserves to see a little bit more play, specifically in mid. And I'm always a Chiron stan, so I'm gonna say Chiron. But among traditional hunters that you see in duo, Chernobog has impressed me in the few times we've seen him. I want to see some more Bog in my games.
Now, who wouldn't, right? The ability to be anywhere on the map, kind of our creepy edgelord of the hunter role too. Certainly want that guy hanging out with the squad as Winter Dogs have all grouped up here in mid. On his way to join them is Andy. They're going to move right in. Dharmic Pillar traps into Gamma, takes some damage and has to reposition, but just the damage from Panda Turtle does do quite a bit to Promise and Dishonored. Andy probably got his hand in there a bit too. Now Panda Turtle dropped in the Kraken on Day. It does hit him, but the beats means there is no knockup. Now the left side Phoenix starting to fall. Meanwhile, Promise stuck in between Gamma, Andy, and Aqua. Left side Phoenix down, and Promise has to retreat. Fields of Love almost gets value, but everyone just walks right out of it, as you tend to do when you're ahead, and that means Day has to fall all the way back to the fountain. Luconium does not have the sing privilege. He falls to Yuji. Dishonored able to make it back, but not Baronary. He falls to Gamma. Ends up getting traded out, so at least someone falls on the Winter Dog side, but I don't think that's going to slow them down from looking for this mid-Phoenix too.
And it shouldn't. They've got enough health bars kind of regenning through that Fire Giant buff that they should be able to threaten this mid-Phoenix at the very least. If not, go for some kills, because Aqua's on the flank looking to try and get in there. He still has his ultimate available.
So they do move into the mid-Phoenix after all, and Promise the early target for them. Promise picks it away as Aqua goes up to the Somersault Cloud. That buys room for Andy to melt the middle Phoenix. It's already been destroyed. Panda Turtle, though, has eyes to the right side Phoenix as well. Let's go push up this minion wave. Let's get in there and see about grabbing it. But the rest of the squad falling back, so this is just to push the wave up and then retreat. As expected, dominance from Winter Dogs on that siege.
Just really easy when you're up 10K and a billion levels. I mean, you've got 4 level 20s on one team, 0 on the other. It's not exactly an easy defense opportunity for Froggy. Winter Dogs really just playing with their food at this point, as I assume Winter Dogs do. I don't know. I just kind of assume that's a trait of theirs from
well,
this.
So here's the thing.
My only evidence.
I assume Mac is also a winter dog, right? Your dog.
Correct.
Aggro. So
yes.
And so really anything that Mac likes to do, I assume is the true here then for the winter dogs team here as well.
Yeah. So they're playing right now, which they love to do. Mackenzie loves to play, and soon enough, I assume Winter Dogs will be taking up 60% of the couch, while 2 other humans are trying to sit on it, and being very comfortable while doing so.
Dishonored getting some knockups. They are stuck inside the Dharmic Pillar, but Dishonored gets Kraken Panda Turtle, resolves that kill. Good ultimate from Yuji, puts Day low on the right side of the fight as well. That'll be Anderster chasing him and completing the kill, and when Luconium lands, he's in trouble, but they go for Baronary first, taking care of Promise as well, and Luconium, actually the only one that lives through the fight, but he's not gonna be enough. Gamma closing the gap, and this game at this point certainly over. Winter Dogs will be taking care of the Titan. We'll be moving on to the next one. But as you said, I expect Game 2 to be different. Froggy will not allow Gamma to just run over their jungle at the beginning of the game for Game 2.
Whoa. I said it should be different. I didn't say it would be different.
Not putting your name on it, huh?
Be Froggy ready to defend their buffs if they're pick and banning correctly and playing the map correctly. That remains to be seen, but I do have some faith. I mean, these guys have a good amount of experience down here at the SEC level. Hopefully, they're a little bit more prepared for what Gamma's going to throw at them Game 2.
I'm hoping so as well. They got steamrolled here in this game, led largely by Gamma, passing the baton to Andy, who never let it go after that, man. He ran over them on this set in the jungle pick, and really there was no answer to try and slow this one down. As you said, though, that is only game number 1. We got another game coming your way, and hopefully even a Game 3. Quick break, and we'll be right back with that game. And we're back here at the SCC after a dominant Game 1 victory, hoping that Froggy can show us a little bit more here in Game number 2. You know, I was wondering, who had that Game 1 victory? Yeah, it's the Winter Dogs, excuse me. I don't want to get that too mixed up here at this point. Wouldn't want that honest mistake to happen, really.
No. Winter Dogs. They won So they're the winner dogs. That's the joke, so to speak.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this post game. Looks like, yeah, as expected, Andy 9-2-9, UG 6-0-8, Aqua 3-0-8. An excellent game for them. And then Gamma holding the torch, dying the most, but truly the facilitator of it all for them. Started them off on such a great start with that 3-3-13 start with the Erlong. And as you kind of mentioned back at the Picks and Bans, is part of what's going to make playing against Winter Dogs tough is that they could be playing anything in support. Gamma could pull out the Wukong next game. He could just play a normal Guardian next game. You really don't know from Gamma, and that's one more thing you just have to keep your eye on when you're up against this team.
That's going to be their style, all phase. I think that's the big test for me when I'm going to be watching Winter Dogs. I know that they can win games like this, giving Gamma aggressive picks and setting up and letting Andy be the carry for you. None of that is surprising. That's kind of what I expected out of this team. What I want to see from them is, can Gamma play Guardians? Can Gamma play a Kepri game and be effective in that regard? You know, will this team be one-dimensional, or will they be able to beat you in multiple different ways? That's what I'm really going to be watching out for. Basically all phase for this team, because remember, this is a team that has some aspirations to go to placements and try and qualify for the World Championships, and if teams let them do this, then they probably will qualify. I just don't think that the good teams in the SPL will allow something like this to happen.
No, I don't think so either. You mentioned how this team has aspirations to be the best. Well, if they want to do it, Get a Grip, I think, is the team that most stands in their way, right? The team that has Mass still on it, Meerkat, Ionic. They added in Pagon, or that in Haddix and Ionic, excuse me, had Pagon there already to replace when Baskin and Gino stepped away from that team. So, yeah, we know they can win like this, but I don't know if that squad is going to let you just run over them in the early game. So hopefully in the Picks and Bans for game number 2, they can show us they have something else going on, some other plays in the playbook other than run it down, hold W, as much as I do happen to like that play. Now, Froggy, going to be in the first pick spot here this time, and maybe that'll give him a chance to sort of stifle some of this aggression coming out from Winter Dogs.
Poseidon first ban is not what I was expecting. Among the problems for Froggy in game 1, Poseidon was number 5 out of 5 when it came to the gods. I mean, I just don't, maybe they felt like it was the mid-pressure brought by how well Panda Turtle was clearing waves, but there are other mages that clear waves pretty well. I don't think that there was a Poseidon at all that was the problem there for Froggy. I'm very surprised to see that be their first ban.
I'm surprised as well. I mean, I'm not going to pretend Panda Turtle didn't play well in that game, but I just don't think that, as you said, that he was the one that really put them in a game state where they could no longer win. He was a problem once they entered that game state, once the lead was there for Winter Dogs, but not the one that got them there. So I think I'm with you in terms of some surprise about this ban. They just don't want to have to deal with it, it would seem. So it's Hebo, Hercules, and the Poseidon banned away by Froggy, Persephone, Kuzenbo banned away by Winter Dogs. So a lot of good stuff still open here for Froggy with that first pick spot. Well, I wonder if they're going to try and make sure that Winter Dogs, again, don't get one of the strong hunters. But with Rom and Cupid making it through unbanned, no real reason to try and worry about that so much, I suppose. They could take the round here right away, or no, they'll get one of them later and just wait. And that's what they'll do. They'll take the Yamoja as it goes through unbanned.
Yeah, I like that pickup a lot. I mean, just gives you some instant pressure, gives you some fight potential around your buffs. I do think that something like Wukong would have been very good for Dishonored, try and get him something that he can be the aggressor on the right-hand side of the map, because if you're not going to win duo side, and based on Winter Dog's strategy in Game 1, you likely aren't. If they're going to run that back, I think I would want to give Dishonored something that, if I'm Luconium, I can head over and camp and set up a little shop and get us winning on the other side of the map at least, so we've got somewhere to go for farm. With Erlong, Shen, Achilles, again, Erlong almost certainly for Gamma. Feels like it's going to be the same strategy for Winter Dogs. Froggy have to draft accordingly.
Yeah, when you lock in 2 aggressive warriors at the start of your pick ban phase, it's because you're looking to be aggressive, man. And this Achilles was banned, I believe, by Froggy last time around. But because they're banning the Poseidon, the Achilles can make it through. So Froggy had to figure out what it is they're going to be doing to deal with all this aggression. Right now, it seems like they're just drafting beef, right? This Yamoja, going to be tough to kill, has the sustain and great control, the Wukong as well. And even this Hera can drop down Arcus, the bodyguard, to help buy her some additional time.
And Hera, even though we always think of her as that Argus character, and for good reason, it was what makes her so strong, it's not without note that she is also one of the best wave clear mages in the game early on. It requires her to step up to the front of the wave, which is scary, but she just clears better than most people. She basically full clears the wave at level 3. If you put 2 points in your 1 and a point in your 2, you full clear at level 3, which not a lot of characters can do. So I think that this is a good pick for Baron Ari. It should allow him to get enough wave pressure to be able to rotate left and help defend some of these buffs.
She's also great just in terms of her self-peel, right? Has the movement speed,
Yep.
the bubble comes up for some health, Argus can be helpful, plus the polymorph with the slow on it as well. So Hera's got options if someone's trying to stick to her to help peel. Now, neither of those two premier hunters went in the top 2 pick. Rom and Cupid both passed as Winter Dogs picked up the Uller instead. So the Cupid gets banned here in the second round of bans. And I think if you ban the Cupid, you kind of have to ban the Rom too, or it feels like you don't get a ton of value out of it. But they banned the Arachne. Maybe they just don't want to deal with Cupid's team fight presence.
A little surprised that they don't ban the Rom, because Rom also very, very good at wave clear early, but only kind of every other wave, depending on how many arrows he has
Sure.
at any given time. I would think that the wave 1 is the most important for Gamma's strategy, right? Of going boots 2, full clearing the wave, and then instantly going towards that enemy red buff. Wave 1 is the most important, so taking Rom off the board would prevent Froggy from getting the best Wave 1 Hunter clear in the entire game. I think if I'm Froggy, I'm happy to get Rom in this spot. He isn't great if you get camped like Cupid did in the last game. He really doesn't have that much safety. But is anybody that great when you get camped as hard as Day did in game number 1? I think I'm just taking Rom and being happy with it.
Well, good awareness here from Froggy. They did not think the Erlong Shen or the Achilles were jungle. They banned out the Set and the Tsukiyomi, even with those locked in, and they were absolutely right. This Robin comes in for Andenster instead this time around. And yet again, this feels like W, doesn't it? I mean, Uller, Robin, Achilles, and Erlong Shen, Winter Dogs are going to be running at you. And Froggy do have some good counter initiation tools, some good disengage tools. That's what Fear No Evil, I think, adds here for them. And now the Kernanos coming in, so no Rom picked or banned.
Yep. Kernanos. When I think early pressure that needs to be able to match these rotations, that's who I think of. I'm just shocked. I mean, Day clearly must not think that the matchup that he's got is particularly good, or he's not very comfortable on the God in general. Though it seems like Day's not alone in looking towards the bottom of the tier list in their role. Vulcan also locked in here for Panda Turtle, which does not scream early wave clear to me. So I'm a little surprised to see it for Winter Dogs. I was thinking they would go with something like Ra. That's what I probably would have picked in this slot, something that does have pretty good early wave clear, really good follow-up off CC. Vulcan has good follow-up off CC, but I think has a horrendous matchup into Hera because he can't get away from Argus basically ever. Yeah. And when you're Hera, you can just drop it on the Vulcan and kill him most of the time. With Ra, at least you can kind of kite the Argus a little bit with your movement speed and then sit in your heel with your extra prots and pray that Argus lets you live once.
This is an interesting draft phase here. The Uller and the Vulcan are the back line here for Winter Dogs, and that is decent damage from their main abilities. I mean, Vulcan hits hard. You don't have to worry so much about the ultimate, I don't feel like, from him as well. That one a bit less consistent, but they've got plenty of damage over on this Winter Dog side. And Froggy, again, I feel like might be a little bit too skewed towards this mid to late game. I mean, how do you like their chances in the first 10 minutes of this game? Maybe Fear No Evil and Rivers Rebuke are kind of their best tools.
Yeah, but you don't get those until you're level 5. That's the main problem. I mean, Yamoja is still pretty decent pre-5 when it comes to fighting, so I'm okay with the Yamoja pick. I am also perplexed by the Hunbat's pick, because when I think of good characters at level 5, or pre-level 5, Hunbat's is pretty low on that list, especially in comparison to something like a Robin on the other side. As long as Lucodium, the one thing that Hunbats does have going for him pre-5 is his clear speed is fantastic. So if Lucodium goes speed to red, as he should, after watching that start that Winter Dogs did last game, maybe he can clear fast enough to strip it away and make sure that Winter Dogs don't snowball the left side.
Gamma does do this boot start again, worth noting. No Guardian's Blessing and just sitting on the tier 2 boots. So we'll keep our eyes on how aggressive he chooses to be if he does try to look for that red buff invade right away. Though, obviously, Froggy should be aware of what he might want to do this time. He doesn't even go to the wave at all. He goes right to red, but Luconium is doing the right thing. Speed to red to make sure that he's here to defend. But Gamma shows up second and still has his ability available. But the Hog was there from Luconium, so he hits level 2. And now Gamma suddenly in trouble, stuck here in this positioning. But because Panda Turtle had pressure in mid, Gamma has somewhere safe to run.
And maybe I wasn't giving the Vulcan enough credit. Panda Turtle gets some pretty good pressure early and is able to make sure that Gamma has somewhere to go. A good ward by Gamma. We saw him kind of sneak towards red, speed ward exactly where Luconium would have to walk if he ends up going speed to red. So I was wondering what the strategy would be in that instance. I think that it's been a win so far for Froggy. They have more efficient farms split up along the map right now. It will go back towards Winter Dogs once they clear out their own buffs on their own side of the map. So far, I think that Froggy have responded nicely.
It's been a good answer here for them as Gamma continues to look around. Promise has been chilling in mid, so Gamma shows up there as well. Meanwhile, Luconium went over to split the Alpha alongside Day. So now he's rejoining them back in mid. Aqua and Dishonored willing to fight early, just as we saw back in that first game, but nothing too crazy going to be coming from it. So it looks like they want to leave these Hunters alone right from the beginning of the game, but that's something that would worry me a little bit. I mean, you gotta want to give the edge here to the Uller in this matchup up against the Kernels.
By God, yes, no doubt, but in experience, it's got to be Day, because Yuji is so new to the role. Day's been playing ADC at a competitive level for literal years at this point. So I think that in that regard, you've got to just trust Day, as long as he doesn't get hard camped like he did in Game 1, to step up and be able to handle this laning phase appropriately.
Gamma's here for the purple buff invade. Promise starts it off, but they're delaying it. They certainly know Gamma's here. Yep. They just look at him, make some eye contact so that he knows. Everyone appreciates eye contact as Gamma starts up with the purple. But again, this is the invade, and right here in his face is Promise, so this doesn't feel very guaranteed, but Yuji comes in to help. Purple does get stolen away by Winter Dogs. This one not a secret. They do it right in the face of Froggy. And Froggy just don't have the defense to stop it. And now they're looking to invade the red buff as well. Gamma shows up here to help. But another Hog? Did Luconium buy 2 of them this game?
Yeah, he went back to base, bought boots 2 and a Hog, and Winter Dogs probably go, okay, we just made you waste gold. Like, we're down for that. Froggy cannot afford to just keep buying Hogs. Eventually, they are going to have to be on time to one of these buff invades. They were late to both purple and red in that instance. Luconium needs to be there a bit earlier.
You can tell that they're feeling the pressure, though, as Promise gets caught in the jungle by Gamma Riptide, but the root on the backside from Andy is too strong, and he will find first blood for Winter Dogs, and Promise, alone in the jungle, gets caught out.
Promise is just definitely having trouble matching the pace that Gamma is setting. I feel like Promise having a little bit of trouble knowing where you should be in these sorts of moments, which isn't easy. I mean, it isn't. These are games that you don't get practice in very often, games like this. I don't know if trying to match Gamma's rotations is really the best use of their time.
Whoa, Dishonored is so late on this ultimate, and Aqua gets to execute him. Absolutely crazy that he delays that long trying to get up and out of contact, knowing that an execute was nearby, but I suppose that's how it goes. Ain't that just the way? And Winter Dogs come out on top. Now Argus dropping down. Baroneri knows he needs some help, but Andy will not allow him to escape. It happened differently, but the same as Winter Dogs out in front here early.
And we see the Hera against the Erlong Shen, a god that really I think is a pretty bad matchup for Hera. In long-range pin, Hera has to react to that. She has to use something defensive as soon as that happens, and if your polymorph cooldown is down, you're just toast, Argus included, and that's exactly what happened to Baroneri there. Didn't have the peel available, was also very low on mana at the time, but just not able to withstand an Erlong Shen blinking on top of him, and I don't think that's going to change as this game goes on. This is not a positive matchup for Baronary against what Winter Dogs have. And don't forget that he picked this after the Erlong was already locked in.
Oh my goodness, you didn't even get to finish talking about how bad of a matchup it is before Gamma killed him again. It's absolutely crazy how much pressure Gamma has here in the middle of this map, across the entirety of the map, and you hit the nail on the head when you talked about how Promise is struggling to figure out how to respond. This is one of the hardest games to play support in. When you're the more defensive support against an aggressive one, it feels like there's nothing you can do, and Promise struggling to figure out where his time is best spent.
It's very, very difficult. I feel for him for sure, because support is already hard to know exactly where you need to be on the map at any given time. But when you are playing constant catch-up to the enemy support, and they're making plays all across the map, your team's getting mad at you and at everyone else. You know, why is this happening to us again? I don't know exactly where Promise is supposed to be. My first reaction was that if I were Promise and Gamma's kind of gunning down my red and all this kind of stuff, and we just don't have the tools to defend, and I don't think Froggy really do in the early game, I think I would be trying to zone Yuji out and left, making sure that he can't just keep getting free farm in the 1v1.
Hey, but at least Panda's not on Poseidon, am I right? I mean, Froggy dodged that bullet, I guess. So he's got to hold this Erlong Shin Gamma one instead, and I think this feels a lot worse. As Panda Turtle had the early pressure, his number has not been called. They have been winning this with jungle and support pressure, and it hasn't super mattered what Panda Turtle's been on.
Man, it's just so funny that I'm watching where Andy's playing, and I just don't know how he's level 6. Because he's just been standing around looking to murder people in Froggy's jungle all game.
Barely doing any farming, and that has left Gamma all alone. Finally, a 4-man rotation catches Gamma and Andister in the jungle, roaming around alone. And the great separation with that ultimate. Now Panda in some trouble here as well. Is able to put down the turret before he gets polymorphed. Has been able to retreat, and Luconium will not chase with that Sacred Monkey. He's at this point. So they only end up losing Gamma. And look at this, Andister comes over and is successfully able to strip away the red. How do they not end up confirming red and all that? I guess they were chasing Panda.
Exactly, they were chasing the Vulcan, who is up 2 levels now over Baronary, because Bayro hasn't gotten more than 2 red buffs, and he hasn't even gotten experience or gold from them because they've had to be hogged by Luconium every single time. Froggy need to do a better job of counter-warding in their own jungle. I mean, look at all the wards that Winter Dogs have on the Order side of the map. No sentries in inventory for Froggy. I guess you just ward your own side, because putting deep wards on Winter Dog's side of the map isn't going to do anything. They aren't there. They're on your side the entire time.
It's true. What's happening up on the Chaos side of the map is not particularly relevant right now. Look where Gamma and Aquarius are right now. On time for this blue buff invade, and Dishonored, all alone here, has no hope of stopping it. And this is what Winter Dogs is doing that makes his early game aggression really work. When Froggy showed up in numbers to defend the red buff last time, Winter Dogs said, okay, well, we'll make that same grouping on blue this time, and no one's there for it, and they strip it away.
Interesting build path here for Andy. Goes into the stone cutting sword on Robin.
Yeah.
Don't think of Robin as a god that's getting 3 autos off that often in the midst of a team fight. I mean, a lot of times it's blink 1, auto 3, auto 2, and then they're dead the vast majority of the time. So I guess the flat reduction of that physical protection during those 2 auto cancels is good, but there is no way this is better DPS or a better item than, like, Crusher on Robin. I just don't buy it.
I'd be very surprised if it were, as Andy continuing to prove it doesn't matter what item he picks up, taking away the purple buff yet again, and continuing to spread this map up against Froggy. Now Panda Turtle's in some trouble.
Nice.
Good Riptide pulls him back into the Argus, and that is a kill onto the Vulcan. But now Baronary has overcommitted, and Andister are able to find the kill. Luconium and Promise having to hide underneath their tier 2 at this point in the game, and Aqua getting aggressive, eats a couple of tower shots, so maybe a little too aggressive, but Winter Dog's able to do basically whatever they'd like to.
Day is kind of caught in no man's land right now. Yuji trying to find exactly where he can get him is Dishonored in execute range once again, and once again cast the ultimate. It's just this time he gets up in time.
Very, very risky, but I think you could still make the argument that it was just too late. Dishonored ends up falling, but this has caused an overcommit now from Winter Dogs. They end up losing Gamma and Aqua on the back of it, as members that were killed on Froggy are able to rejoin the fight later on and start to contribute. So Winter Dogs have started to do a little bit too much, but Yuji catches Promise in the jungle, axe into Bladed Arrow, hail of arrows. That'll kill just about anyone, and Promise is no exception.
Yeah, Yuji was trying to keep Day out of that fight initially and just wasn't really able to do so. Day rotates in and is able to get some cleanup kills. At least Yuji's able to find one on the back end, but the fact that Day somehow got from above Gold Fury down into that fight without Yuji following him or killing him for it was a little bit surprising to me. At least he's able to grab one on the back end.
So now Panda Turtle solo trying to steal blue. Meanwhile, Andy gets another kill in the Baronary. This hair pick has not worked for him so far. That's his fourth death. And now, aggression heading towards speed. They want to meet Luconium at his speed buff, and they're right. Luconium is here. They land the first ability for the slow, but they cannot keep up the chase to meet the tier 2. And now Dishonored on the way. So 3v2 and Winter Dogs have got to be careful, but Panda's on his way to try and even up these numbers a bit. This is definitely going to be a death for Gamma, but he lives, gets the heal up from 9 turns, Blessing, and turns it around. Dishonored gets off the cudgel, but he's definitely going to fall. A double for Andy, and Gamma lives.
That was a huge taunt into a Mystic Rush combo between Gamma and Andy. That was beautiful between those two. Panda's damage over the top. I don't even know if it needed to connect because Andenser was going to be doing the damage himself in that moment. Speed buff still went Froggy's way, and Baronary secures red, but I think he's dead.
He's walking around in back alleys, huh? You don't get to do that, my man. Andenster catches him out, and Baronary takes his 5th spill. Now the Wild Hunt does land, but Day barely touches the ground before more damage starts to come out from Winter Dogs. Off the mark there with that backfire, and Day, remember, ends up surviving because of it. A close battle, but Day has done some decent work here for them. 1-0-2 has not fallen, the only member who has not fallen. And Panda Turtle has looked a little iffy on this Vulcan, so maybe the Poseidon ban made some sense.
I guess so. That backfire, in some wise words, was just a bit outside. As Aqua now up a billion levels, doing the things that Aqua typically does on the Achilles. That's why it was banned in Game 1. Definitely understand banning one of Aqua's comfort picks away. This is what he does when he gets it, man. He's huge.
This is tough. Picking a god like Wukong and falling behind 0-4-2 is borderline unacceptable. I mean, I know this game has been a ton of pressure, but that's just one of the safest gods anywhere under any circumstance. And Dishonored has been late on these ultimates several times. He's been caught out. I mean, now it's too late. He's behind, but still, this shouldn't be happening as Aqua dives the tier 2, gets the kill onto Luconium, and the Fear No Evil posthumously does very little.
You want to talk about something that shouldn't be happening? Okay, maybe this. It's a dive underneath the tier 2. Okay, yeah, sure. That's fine, actually. We're cool with this. Andenster walked by a full jungle shrine, which is illegal for junglers to do, for the record. It's against the rules of SMITE.
Dishonored dies again, and something about kill number 15, 13.5 minutes into the game, down 6,000 gold. I don't know, it's kind of lost its luster for me a little bit, Aggro. Forgive me if I'm not getting all that excited, but Winter Dogs are in a pretty cozy spot, up 11,000 experience this far into the game. It's absurd. It's an insane amount to be down. The Gold Fury belongs to Winter Dogs as well. 4 level disparity in solo, 3 in jungle, 3 in mid, and 3 in support. Poor Day, the only member 14 and even. I don't know what he's meant to do.
Yeah, dash away. Let him take it. I mean, it's not worth it, my guy. You just gotta let him have it at some point. Don't think he's getting out of this one. Andy notches number 9 for himself. You know what I realized though, Finch? Oh, but they won't stop fighting. I just want a meme, man.
They will not stop the action. Baronary looking to make it 7 if Panda Cat can close the distance. Meanwhile, Aqua in some trouble. Panda does indeed close the gap, and Baronary will fall, and Aqua now looking for the battle up against Dishonored. Ultimate dropped at his feet, and Promise can't survive. Panda getting the double. Fear No Evil pins Aqua down underneath his tier 1 tower, and he does eventually end up falling. Gamma almost showing up in time to help Aqua turn that around. Maybe Gamma can do it on his own, considering how low Dishonored and Luconium are. 9 turns Blessing will pull Dishonored back in. Luconium backing and should be able to return to base, and Panda Turtle closing the gap underneath. so Dishonored's escape routes are few and far between.
Okay, here's what I want to talk about before I was so rudely interrupted. You know the new Baka skin that we just put out, Blobkiss? Objectively good skin, right?
Yep.
Objectively good. He's this green, gelatinous monster. But Yamoja is throwing around these green blobs in this skin. You don't think that's Blobkiss inside her little container there, right? That'd be kind of messed up.
Well, at the very least, she is the mad scientist that created Blobkiss, I'm thinking. So
Okay.
best case scenario, she's just using another similar green viscous liquid. But I think it's feeling pretty likely to me that Bacchus is in there being used for nefarious purposes by this Yamoja.
No wonder Yamoja's so good, man. She's got the powers of Bacchus and another kit all inside at the exact same time. That's kind of nuts. And that's kind of messed up as well that best case scenario is that Blobkus's brother is being tossed around into bubble form by the evil scientist that created him. That doesn't make me feel a whole lot better, to be honest.
No, it's a bleak timeline in the real world right now, and seemingly bleak here in SMITE as well, as this Pyromancer will be going down for Winter Dogs. Looks like a nice call to change targets and look for the Fire Giant. They'll just grab both. Now the Pyromancer sound should let Froggy know that Winter Dogs are here near the Fire Giant pit, and they're going to use this opportunity to farm. They're like, a few seconds where they're not trying to actively kill us. We'll just take that to go look for some farm in the jungle. No way they could contest Fire Giant at this point. That ends up going over to Winter Dogs uncontested.
This is the reason why when we opened the segment, I was saying that Winter Dogs I expect to be one of the teams competing. As Andy goes in 1v4, and he might be out. Yeah, he's out. He's just gone.
Wow.
Level 16 Robin. That's why you build stone cutting Robin, ladies and gentlemen, for the movement speed, of course. That's why we buy it.
Coming up big here for him as Aqua sends Dishonored away, a 5-level deficit here in solo, to the point where it's truly not worth Aqua bullying him anymore. It would be a more valuable use of Aquarius' time if he went somewhere else, and yet here he is, continuing to bully young Dishonored, forcing him to the Somersault Cloud, while his team takes the mid-tier 2 tower, and Andis are considering looping around, not going to find anything there, and Dishonored will survive. Again, Wukong is survivable as they come, even down 5 levels, but at a certain point, Andy, or Aqua rather, is going to come join his boys and help them siege this middle Phoenix, as it looks like that's where they are. Yuji taking care of the tier 2 tower over in left.
Yuji in left, Aqua in right. That means all the towers down just 18 minutes in to this contest. Don't think that they've backed to spend. Yeah, good call by Doug. Lots of golden hand here. Over 2K for 4 members, over 3K for Aquarius. Probably worth their time to get a quick reset in here, but they're up 15K, man. They get to do whatever they want.
Here's that will be the case. The backline dive is on. Baroneri is the first casualty of war. Aqua gets that kill. Dishonored right there behind him without an ultimate in order to retreat. Promise being hunted by Aqua, but Riptide gets him some room. Luconium drops the ultimate onto Yuji. That does get him low. Has to use the beads to disengage, but Gamma keeps up the chase. Does not get the knock-up, but Turtle finds his damage. The backfires enough for the 3rd kill of this contest. And I just posted a Ron Jobber clip on my Twitter if you want to go check it out. He said one of the most BM things I ever heard at the end of the game, which is, I don't want to be mean, but they didn't do anything correctly. And for some reason, those words are swimming back into my mind here in this.
Yeah, I can only think of one reason, and that's because that one time that Anninster walked by the full jungle shrine on his side of the map. Yeah, that wasn't
you gotta
correct
get
at
that.
all. I will say, the Winter Dog strategy seems pretty potent. Thank you, I was about to ask for the jungle shrine breakdown. 69% efficiency is bad, man. Listen, no Smite game is perfect, okay? No one's ever played a perfect Smite game, Winter Dogs included. There's 1 point of improvement that you could have right there. How are you going to let Froggy get more jungle shrine stacks than you when you've been taking all their buffs all game?
Yeah, it's just a simple matter of Winter Dogs never being in the Chaos side jungle ever, except for on their way passing through to find Froggies. I suppose that is the only reason
okay, wait.
for why they
See
have
what Panda Turtle does here. Okay.
Okay.
He's walked by a nearly full shrine. Maybe he's looking for maximum efficiency by clearing this blue buff, which is worth more than Dishonored's life at this point, to be clear.
Yes.
And then clearing the shrine. Okay, Gamma's walking right by it. Here we go, Gamma. Let's go, baby. Okay. That's the real carry of Winter Dogs, and you can tell he cares about his shrine efficiency.
I think what it is that they feel bad that Baroneri's 0-8, and they want some company for him, you know. They want Dishonored to be 0-8, so you can't just blame the mid-Hera. You know, they both had bad games here this time.
Right. If Dishonored says, come on, man, we got to have better performance in mid, he goes, aren't you 0-8 as well? Like, and then it becomes a really toxic environment, and no one has fun anymore, and you break up as a team. So that's like way better that way, right?
Oh no, Froggy are on that path, and Winter Dog sent them there. Now Andy and Yuji recognize there's action in the jungle, and that is enough to get the kill here onto Yuji. A big Fear No Evil is the one that sets that up. But now, how does Luconium escape the wrath of Andenster? Big ultimate coming out from Panda Turtle. No one better be down there, and there certainly wasn't. So the ultimate finds nobody. Luconium, I think, recognizing his life is over. Unstoppable is Panda Turtle at this point.
And Aqua has 2 more minions to take care of in this wave. Though Data Remember a little bit more deserving of some respect at level 19. For
Yes,
Promise,
certainly.
only level 12. That one is child's play. Looks like Aqua's got 2 set up by Andy quite nicely. And if Winter Dogs are true to form, they'll probably keep on killing them until they have nothing left but the Titan.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they're right here with a chance to take the Titan, but how fun is that, right? When they could instead farm kills. I imagine that's what they prefer. No, Panda Turtle, gotta be the brother of Panda Cat, moves on to the Titan. Baronary goes down for the 9th time this game, which means, of course, they must kill Dishonored to keep things balanced before they look for the Titan. But Dishonored running away, he cares not for balance, it would seem, and heads to the back of the fight. No, he's looking for Panda Turtle in the back. A risky call here from Dishonored. The Titan is at half HP. The ultimate crushes the Titan as well. Fear No Evil forces everybody back out, and Winter Dog still not quite able to end it. There's that kill into Dishonored. 0-9 for both, as Winter Dogs find some parity and close out game number 2.
This team is just going to be doing this to a lot of teams in the SEC.
Yes.
But, again, in defense of Froggy, this style is easiest to execute when the enemy team doesn't know it's coming. Whoever is the week 2 opponent for Winter Dogs, hey, it's me, Aggro. Here's the deal. Gamma's probably going to play a warrior. He's probably going to run your red buff level 1. Let's pick things and play around it, and maybe you can have a competitive game against Winter Dogs. We should start there, I would say, number 1.
And listen, I'm sure Froggy are going to have some better sets elsewhere down the line, but this just was not it for them. An unfortunate one for Baronary and Dishonored in particular. Day, I think, did about as well as he could, though he was in the duo lane. That duo lane island is often how it goes. When everyone else on the map is the one that's losing, there's not much for you to do. But Andenster, 10-0-10, a part of 20 kills, and just absolutely taking it to Froggy in that game.
A little bit of vintage Din today to kick us off on a Sunday. Looking dominant once again in that jungle. I just think Andy's playing in a very different way than how he used to. I thought that, towards the middle seasons, season 4, season 5 in the SPL, a lot of what plagued Andy's teams was their over-patience, was that they were waiting to capitalize on enemy team mistakes. That is not what happened in this set. And not the way that Andy himself was playing. Obviously, Gamma, as almost always is the case, supports often set the tone for your team. But Andy also just played with this confidence that I think when he starts playing like that, he starts looking like a top of the SPL jungler again. If he could continue to play with that sort of confidence and be in the right spots at the right time, I think Andy and the Winter Dogs are going to be much more Winter Dog than Wiener Dog this phase.
Yeah, they're going to be a hard team to beat. I mean, we don't know yet how they're going to look in more standard games when they're not running over you by the 6th minute mark in a game, and that is what has happened here in both of these 2 games. But we have plenty of room to look back on Aqua and Andy's careers, and Gamma too, and times when they have been able to win those more heads-up games. But I think this is tough. Stopping them from running over you in the early game is only step 1 as far as I'm concerned about stopping this Winter Dogs team. We're going to have a lot of other issues, even in the more heads-up matches. And there's going to be a lot of highlights like this for the time being, though. Winter Dogs in Froggy's jungle, taking whatever they want and running around with reckless abandon.
Yeah, they get it all in games like this for sure. And Panda Turtle on the Vulcan, you know, I'm never super excited to see a Vulcan pick come through personally. I don't think he's that good, but Panda Turtle clearly played it pretty well, and everyone on Winter Dogs did. They just kind of they took Froggy to task today. It was not Froggy's day at the office, to say the least.
Well, again, that was our very first set of Phase 4 here in the North America SCC. And Winter Dogs now up at the top 1-0, though I'd be very surprised if Get a Grip at least don't come to join them. I expect that to be one of our other big teams here in North America with all the talent that's on their roster. Let's take a look at what sets you can expect to come up here as well. Remember, we already took care of Europe yesterday. Poppy's dropping a bit of a surprise. Belt Slap going to 3, a bit of a surprise. But everything else, I think, making sense as Snake Pit continues to be one of the stronger teams there. Get a Grip and Slaughter Squadron, going to be one of those games that are happening at the end of the day. Make sure you're here for those 2 sets. Get a Grip and Slaughter Squadron, and then Winter Dogs play again up against GTT, gone to Tahiti. And we won't be able to see that Hugs and Kisses Froggy matchup. But the SCC here in North America and Europe shaping up to be exciting here in Phase 4. We are continually seeing different squads come in with slightly different looks, and it's showing us exactly what they're capable here in the SCC. Still strong matches happening.
No doubt that these teams have gotten a lot better since the very beginning of the season, and you see a lot more unique strategies coming out, like what Winter Dogs did to Froggy today. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Get a Grip and Gonza Tahiti start to look, and specifically that Winter Dogs versus Gonza Tahiti matchup that you can catch later on today after the SPL. Gonza Tahiti was the team that, my memory serves, was in the NA finals for Phase 3 playoffs. Can they handle the style that Winter Dogs is going to bring? I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
As long as you can get out in front of it, it feels a lot more doable to deal with this strategy. Now, that is going to be it for the SCC here today. Reminder that we are starting the SPL at 3 o'clock Eastern. That's about 45 minutes from now. So that's plenty of time to roll out, maybe get something to eat, come back, put your feet up, and make sure you're right here to watch the SPL at 3 o'clock. We will see you all then.